Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Josie Smizer, and like all the young women on this call, I'm interested in pursuing a career in STEM. I conducted a survey about engineering, and I appreciate all the thoughts and ideas that the girls shared with me. The questions in this interview are based off of those survey results and questions girls share with me during personal interviews. I'm a member of Girl Scout Troop 70444, and this call is part of my Gold Award project. My goal is to understand what girls are curious about and to help them find answers and make connections that will inspire and encourage them to pursue a career in STEM. Today, we are talking with Nyomi Morris. She's a senior at Rose-Hulman University, Rose-Hulman Institute of Technology, and she's majoring in computer science. She has a passion for human and robot partners. Nyomi is also a full-time undergraduate research assistant at the University of Minnesota, and she also has a passion for building trustworthy technology. Thank you for joining us today, Nyomi.
Great. Thank you for having me.
We have a lot of questions about what it's like to pursue a STEM career, what the day-to-day work and challenges are like, career paths, and advice you might have for us. I would like to start off with, could you tell us a little bit about how you got your internship?
Oh, yeah. So I should offer just a little tweak. I did the research at the University of Minnesota last year. And then this year I'm doing research at Carnegie Mellon, but the process was similar for both. So pretty much I looked around online and I actually got some suggestions from friends I like about what my interests were and where I should go. So one of the things with computer science are like you can work at a big company like Google or Microsoft, and then you can also do research and continue on with your degree in grad school. And so one of the ways you can get ready for that is to go to like summer research programs. So pretty much what I did, I put together an application for for both schools. Basically that highlighted that I was interested not so much in like the building of robots, but like studying how people interact with them and how they should be designed to be more friendly to people. Because it's my interest. I don't want technology to replace people, rather people work with technology. And so I'm interested in those areas. And so it's it's a real series of events, similar to like applying to college. You have to like get a reference letter from like a professor. You put down a statement of purpose, which is almost like, why are you motivated to do this kind of research? And you put together a resume like any other internship that just shows what you've been doing, what you have done, and your ability to work with others. So that's how I ended up there. So yeah, this summer I just finished with Carnegie Mellon doing some research there.
I love how you like actively sought out those internship based off of like your specific interest and like what motivates you. Um, could you tell us more about like what exactly you did at Carnegie Mellon? Like what your day to day was like?
Oh yeah, sure. So first, my project was on how humans and robots can learn each other's preferences during a collaborative task. So like say you and a robot are are loading a dishwasher, and uh, the robot knows that it's no good at picking up like glasses or plates, like it's gonna drop them or break them. It has to have a way of telling you or like showing you that it's not super good at these things, but that it might be super good at picking up utensils instead. So like sometimes not all robots have a little like can just do speech or print out a set of instructions. Like sometimes by the way you interact, you learn how to you learn each other's preferences. So what we did was we s- we spent like it was a 9-week program, and I would say like the first 4-ish weeks were literally like narrowing down what approach we should do to kind of solve this problem. Like it was trying things out, talking with each other. We also like had to work on a simulator to like verify like, is this question worth asking? And then the second half was like getting humans to come test out like what we think is the right way to go about this. And so we decided in those first 4 weeks that using demonstrations, like visual demonstrations, can teach you how to interact with a robot. So like you come into this room and you've never worked with this robot before, like how are you going to learn without having to read like 30-page instructions? Let's just show you some demonstrations and then you can get right in there and work with the robot. That's the idea behind it. Other parts of the day to day actually were mostly about working with other people. So we there was another student who was like an undergraduate. Um, we were like lab partners, if that makes sense. So like for this, being in a lab is like being in a computer lab, and like there are some robots in the space, or you have like high power computers, or your own laptop, and you can run simulations on them. And there are other people who are studying different questions and problems around, and you can kind of bounce your ideas off of them. So research life is like in STEM, I'd say like it can be like a 9 to 5, but it's more like you pick your own hours, which is nice, but it can also lead when it comes to deadlines. There's not as much structure with like not overdoing it. So you have to be like you have to be in charge of like managing what's a healthy amount of work and what's not. Because everything will get done somehow. Like you both have like had to write the papers and do the assignments. Like you can stay up late and work forever or like do it really fast. It'll get done somehow. So you have to establish healthy boundaries. Other parts were like just like taking time to like get to know others because it's really important with idea formulation to be comfortable with someone telling you an idea that may not be it feels like it's out there, and when you're in a professional setting, people don't always want to be wrong, but it's important to form good relationships so that you feel comfortable being wrong together, I guess, and then that might turn out to be, like, the best answer. So, that was kind of really roundabout on the day-to-day. It changes so much, but in my experience, outside of, like, a specific industry setting, it's really up to you and um, the people and the relationships matter a whole lot.
That's so interesting. Thank you for sharing all that. Kennedy, do you have any questions to follow up what like with what Naomi just said?
I am kind of wondering how you knew that you wanted to go into like this field. Like, was there like a moment that you're like, this is something I really want to do?
Oh, okay. So I can talk about like computer science in general, or I can talk about like specifically now like robotics and these humans and robots. Um, I can address both, I guess. So for computer science, when I was at Beaumont in high school, I really I was in the entrepreneur club and I was in BOTEC. And when I toured colleges, I went to a few schools and I said, "Oh, I'm going to major in business." And I went to Rose Hulman by accident, kind of, and they don't have a business major. They had computer science. So I was like, well, if I did anything in STEM, it would be computer science. Um, and I kind of like felt that way. I didn't give much to it until later. So I had a really great tour at Rose Holman, and I wanted to go there. And so I decided, well, I've always been STEM oriented. Like I like I took STEM classes. I took all of the classes that Sister Anne had. Like, I don't know what's available now, but like when I was at Beaumont, like I took every Sister Anne class. And so I was like, okay, well, I like computers, so I might as well just do computer science. So um, there wasn't like a single moment, I guess, for me choosing the field. I knew that I could be flexible and maybe pick something else later by doing computer science. And then as I went along in my studies, I realized that there are ways that computer science happens. Sometimes like you'll work on algorithms that are just for predicting like the stock market or something, or like you'll work on like, and people get paid a lot of money to do that, or you'll work on like, like the exact design that like some button on the screen should be like, that like engages people, or algorithms that like are better for capturing people's attention. And you might like know that with social media, like attention is actually a commodity, and like you have to learn some things about that. And so there I came along, and now AI is really like everyone wants to do AI and stuff. And so I felt like it was a little detached from the people. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this field, and also never, like, you can do computer science and never interact with people, I guess, or the people that you're creating, like creating software for. You can end up in that position, and I didn't want that. So, like, you have to work on teams, so you will interact with people, but like, so I wanted what I worked on to like be informed directly by who it was for. And so I felt like things in research got me there a little faster. And so I don't know if I can pinpoint that to one moment, but it was when I got to try research for the first time last summer at Minnesota that I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. So I'm now getting more into robotics. Computer science is just one aspect of robotics. There's like lots of mechanical things, electrical things, like systems wide, like so much engineering has to go, like different kinds of engineering is required to make an effective robot versus like the AI that may go in a robot. And what do we call the robot is a really interesting question too. But yeah, it's still like forming. Whatever what I specifically go into is still forming. Like I'm still a student, and I'm still trying things out. So the answer now may be different than 2 months from now, which is really cool. So
Yeah, that's like the fun part about having an engineering degree is like there's constant change in the industry, and like how
mhm.
are we supposed to keep up with it and like plan
Yes,
our futures around that change.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like this year, I think being a computer science student when Chat GPT like came out and things like that, like it was, I think it sent like my professors were in like a kind of frenzy. Like some people were, like examining, okay, how do we teach coding skills? How do we like keep people interested in learning like the foundations? And I'm sure like things with writing, like it's more important even there, but like those questions come out when it's our field that like creates these things that also change the field like in such a dramatic way. um, you can be a part of that. And I think like if you have like ethical concerns, I think people who are concerned should also work on them too. So like there's a lot of room for all kinds of people and all kinds of backgrounds to work in technology.
Yeah, going off of kind of what you just said, during your internship, like you mentioned, you have a lab partner, but like, did you work with a lot of students during your internships, or was it more like a mix of like students and people like in the careers already?
Oh yeah, so most of the people that I worked with were grad students, so they had already done their 4-year like undergraduate degree. Some of them had been in the industry before, and so they decided to come and get their master's or their PhD, and so they had to do some research. And then like my advisor had done both, was like a you know has a PhD and was a researcher, and um, I don't know if she really went to industry or not, but yeah, it's a total mix, and you have to like build your confidence and talk to people who at first seem um, like, I think meeting people who are working on their PhD, you think they know so much, and like you wanna sound smart enough, or like you know what you're doing. But I think if you allow yourself to realize that people value curiosity and like asking more than like guess and check, is like it's something that you have to get over, right? Because like I think by the time you're a senior or something in high school, like people are asking you the questions, and people are like, like you generally know how everything works where you are. And so when you're thrown into somewhere new, like remembering that like they know that you're new, and this works, I think, even outside of where I was, like people value like you coming to them, like more people than not are ready to help. So getting over that can actually just like open up a lot of doors within yourself, and like opportunities that you never knew would happen, because they're like, oh, you're that person who asked that question, or like, I really like that you're like so willing to work with me, blah blah blah, stuff like that.
I love that. That's like such a new perspective, like where I've thought of things, especially like being a freshman going into college.
Hmm.
Um, so you talked a little bit about having a mentor. What was that process like? And like, are you guys still connected?
Yeah, so I had a mentor throughout the summer who kind of guided me through picking out like a good research question, formulating some like math that was like, you know, I've learned a lot of math since I've been in college, but like math, there's endless math. And she helped me like kind of like, we have this very human based question, and we can turn that into an equation and use some other math to answer different parts. So um, getting help with that is really nice, and like to work with someone like there are moments where you feel like you're a scientist, where it's just like you're standing at a whiteboard and you're both like writing stuff out, and you're like, wow. Like, and it's from nowhere. It's like it happens. Like it's hard to imagine, I think, in high school, like all the equations, you usually get them, but then like when you start making them, it's really fun. um and then she was also a mentor, like, in a social way, like, she had good recommendations for the best boba in town. We were in Pittsburgh, I was never there before, and she gave us advice about, you know, the next few years, because like, I'm a senior now, so I have, like, questions about what I'm gonna do next, and so she was a really good mentor in that regard, answering those questions.
Um, do you like have a next step plan? Like if you want to share with us?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So my plan right now is to go to grad school. I'll be putting some applications in for different programs to get more. I think I need more, I guess, education on robotics principles, and like, if you asked me to build a robot right now, I probably couldn't. I could write some code for it, like for sure, but there are like aspects of those things that I think I'd like a little more education on, and I'm really excited to do more research. So like I can do research in industry, or I can do research in an academic setting. So there's like a lot of options. And then if, depending on how that goes, I can also like apply to different companies and pick up some work in the tech industry. So there's a lot of a lot of choices, but right now the one that I'm really looking for is grad school.
That is super exciting. Congratulations for
Thanks.
wherever you end up.
Yeah, thanks.
Kennedy, do you have anything you want to ask Naomi?
Are there any like big challenges you faced to like get to where you are today?
Yeah, I think there are several challenges. For one, like I think believing that you're ready to do something or that you're like that you know enough, for whatever opportunity may come, like is I think a challenge that I had is like sometimes I think I was like, oh, I don't know enough of this math, or I don't know enough of like this theory behind this thing, or like, I haven't been writing code since I was 3 or something. There are some people like that who are like, I've been writing code since like I could read or whatever. And like I think you have to like overcome everyone overcomes this in a different way. For me, it was specifically like skills based. Like, do I have the skills to like to make it, you know? And it's it's mostly in your head because most people don't know. And there'll always be some prodigy who's around you, no matter where you are, who like seems to already know what's going on, how to do everything. But like the reason you are where you are is to learn, and you will learn eventually. Um, so like that's an inner challenge, I think. Some external challenges that can come up are like this, like the studies, like, like, have you formed the correct habits to learn a difficult thing? Like, I know that the second half of my senior year was when the pandemic started. So I hadn't been using I hadn't used like real study skills in like probably close to like 8 months by the time it was time to start really studying when I got to college. And so I actually like for the first time, like I remember my first calculus exam. I think I got a D on it or something. I was devastated. It was the first test I took in college, and I was like, man, like I can't do this. This is supposed to be the first class, the easy one. Like I don't know, like, but it gets better, and like there are challenges, academic challenges. No matter how well you did in high school, like they they will come up on you because engineering is hard, STEM is hard, and like it can rattle you at the start, but like don't let those external things like the numbers on the exams or the GPAs or things like that, like you just have to ignore it and keep going. Um, I think like I've been lucky where I've had quality classmates who haven't tried to like I don't know, like be so competitive or discourage me. I've heard about it. Some people have had to grow like a tougher skin with some of their classmates to uh, get through engineering or some engineering classes, because some people like think they're the best, or they may not think that you're supposed to be there. But like any of those external things, like you have to build yourself up and ignore them, because ultimately it's about what you want to do, and they're not going to be there when it's time for you to do what you want to do. So yeah, that's my experience, I guess. There are always challenges. I don't know if I can pick out exactly one.
You have such great insight, and it's all like you look at things at such a positive angle. Like I love it so much. Um, so a lot of girls in my survey were asking about like different types of discrimination. And one girl asked, like, do you feel like you're lacking support in any areas because you were a female? And what do you think about the push for women to go into STEM?
Okay. I think like leaving Beaumont and going to Rose-Hulman was shocking. It was shocking because on paper, the number is that 25% of Rose-Hulman's population is female or like women identifying. And that may be true, like of the campus population, but it comes down to be smaller once you get into a specific class or classroom. So I've had like classes where there's 25 people and 2 of them are girls, right? Like, how do you get over raising your hand when you're not 100% sure about the answer and you're the only girl in the room? Because that, like, if you're wrong, and we have a group project, are they gonna think you're smart enough to be in your group? Like, there's all these questions that come up at that first time. I'm not gonna lie, it was shocking, like shocking to like I got so used to being in a class full of women and it was fine. Everyone laughs things off if like someone's like super like off on a question or they say something like funny and like, things. I think there's a difference. There's a difference in how like people approach the classroom. And so it was, I think I was lacking the same support that I had with my friends that I had at Beaumont and things like that. Like, just like if there's 1 or 2 other girls in the class, like some of them are not on the same page and are not like gonna be in your group. Like they're not like sometimes you think, oh, maybe all the girls will stick together, and some of them are not on that train and they won't, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess I'm on my own. And you find a group. So I really miss that support. I think there's a lot of value in like a good group of female friends. And then, you know, I think that Rose is trying their best to attract more women on campus. I think like the computer science ratios are worse than other majors. Like mechanical engineering is getting better. I think it's closer to 50-50 in those classrooms than other majors. And then, you know, I think the second question was, what do I think about, can I get the second question again, actually?
It was like, how do you feel about the push for women to just like get into engineering?
Oh, yeah, I'm a huge supporter of that, of that idea, because it's like, perspectives, when perspectives are missing from, I think, the design process, and that comes in like all forms of diversity, there is something missing. There is a consideration being missed in the product when someone is not there to offer that perspective. And so, like, I don't know, let's say you're designing like a chair, and like everyone designing the chair is like 6 feet tall. That chair may come out differently if not a single like short person was there to design the chair. Like it's really important that like that there's a diverse set of people working on things that affect society, and science affects society directly. Like people make stuff, people make systems, like artificial intelligence, people are working on algorithms that subtly influence how you interact with like social media or like even your email. Like you need people of all perspectives to be there. Otherwise, you may cause unintended harms, or like you may develop something that doesn't deliver any benefit to certain groups of people. So like I think it's a really important thing to push more women to be in STEM. Yeah, so like I think it's important for everyone to be a part of like whatever field that they like, but I think girls should know that they can do it too and that their contributions are important, not just that they can do it too, but that their contributions are important. So
Yeah, I agree. Um, Going off of like wanting to have like more diverse inputs and like you talked about kind of like having like a community of girls. Like how have you have any tips on like how to network in college?
networking, oh yeah, I think the best way is to it's kind of like in high school, you should attend events. Studying is important, but you should join a club that fits your interests because like it may if it like has to do with the career you want or just something fun, like it really helps to have something in common with people. There's everyone in college should have a LinkedIn, like um at least I think build your resume. But yeah, I think focusing on making good relationships of quality rather than like you don't need to have 10,000 friends or something, but make quality relationships because like it could come like someone it was a friend of mine who told me about the Minnesota opportunity, like because we were like we were just hanging out before class started and I was talking about like this complaint that I was like, I don't want to work on this like stock market AI, like blah blah blah. We were talking about this and he said, oh, I heard about this thing, like maybe you should apply to it. And I was like, okay. And I did and it worked out. But like I think having the kinds of connections where people at least know like what you're interested in or like what kind of person you are can turn into something really great later on. So how to network, how to make friends, it's a really weird thing. It's just like I think when you're new in college everyone is trying to make friends, so like you can literally just go up to someone and say, oh hey, what's going on over here, like literally it's so weird. Everyone's really trying to make friends, so like it's like a weird thing to think about because you're like how do you even make friends? It just happens, like you don't have to worry. I think if you're looking to make friends, I think it will happen somehow. And then like with group projects like are such a good way to network because like here you are like doing this mini test of having a job, I guess, like this is exactly how it will be. You'll be on a team with people and like you have to it may be randomly assigned, so like you just have to learn how to work together and then you may become friends or maybe not, but you'll be acquaintances at the very least and you can like connect on LinkedIn if that's it, or like you just see each other in the hallway and you're like, oh hey, yeah, we work together. So um yeah, there's a lot of ways, but like just like get to know others and let them get to know you. They don't need to know your deepest, darkest secrets. Just like let them know what you care about.
That is so helpful. Thank you. Um, it sounds like you love working with people a lot. What is like your favorite part of like being a computer science student or just like being in the STEM major realm?
Yeah, I think my favorite part is like I think when you get to the right place, people are really comfortable just nerding out. Like most, I think a lot of STEM people like they have more depth, I think, than the science that they did. So a lot of people like are athletes. They were student athletes, or they like ran their own like a D&D club or something, or they were like in theater or they were in marching band or things like that. Like seeing how these people who are really like into science, like really into science, have these other angles to them. Is it like it's always surprising because like I think we even like box ourselves into whatever kind of science we like. Um, I also just like that so much of it is team based. Um, so like accomplishing things and like celebrating them is really fun. So like I've had like several projects in CS where like me and my team members were up till like 3 in the morning, like we're working on this project. Like it's a race to the finish, like the last parts. And then like when it finally works and like everyone's like so it's like you know those videos of like space launches where like the ground control, they're like cheering and everything. Like that's what it feels like when you finish your project in STEM. Everyone's cheering and then like you'll go and get like whatever's open late at night. Like I don't know, we have like this burrito place that's open till 4 a.m. and we'll go there to celebrate. And like it's just those moments are really great and make you feel like STEM is awesome. Yeah.
That sounds like so much fun. Kennedy, do you have any final questions before we wrap this up?
Um, you mentioned like how there are so many different angles to people. I was wondering like how important you believed it was to try new things, especially in college,
Mm.
and just like put yourself out there.
Oh yeah, I've tried so many things. I can't even think of them all. Um, I tried I didn't do robotics at Beaumont because I was like I just want to keep my Saturdays. I don't know if you guys still do it on Saturday or not. That was the only reason, and it wasn't a very good one. um, but in college we have a Mars rover team. So they work on this like it's like a replica of a Mars rover. It can drive and like it's supposed to have an arm that can like toggle switches. It can do all these different missions. And my freshman year, at the very end of the year, um, uh, I was like, you know what, like I'm gonna try robotics, see if I like it. And it was really fun, and I met people who changed how I think about STEM and like how I can interact with it and be creative with it. Like because they were so creative, they're like, what if we do this? Like they're making stuff, they weren't buying like pieces off the shelf. Like it was like I was seeing engineering in real life and I was like, oh, and that was like that's really was like, okay, robots are cool. Like working on this long-term project is cool. Like so trying that was like a trajectory change. I tried, oh man, I tried like a student activities board. Like I never did like anything relating to like student government or like I don't know, like planning events for people, like that kind of thing when I was in high school. But I found that it's a really fun kind of thing to do and that like getting other people excited to like leave their computers or come out of their room and like here come to this baseball game and we'll give you a bucket hat or something like that, like doing things to make people more happy to be on campus. Like I think that informs like how like I want to, I don't know, make the teams I'm on more excited about the project. Or like, you know, every time you get a project, it is work, but like we can have fun too. Like trying different clubs, trying different like trying to meet people that do a thing that you may not have like usually like overlapped before. Like it's really great and it you learn so much. So um yeah, I say like college is the place where there's no harm in trying something that you never tried before. It's like it's the place to do it. Like I don't know, you pay so much too, so you might as well try it. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you want to leave us with any final thoughts before we end the session?
Any final thoughts? I think the best advice I can give is to follow the fun, whatever seems fun, like, or has the best, like the best vibe. Your gut is usually right. And like it's been right for me. And so if anything, like if something seems slightly fun, go check it out. It will probably be fun. If it doesn't seem that fun, or it seems like even in your major or your like some class, you usually get 2 weeks to decide to stay in the class or leave. Your gut's usually right. Don't waste a whole semester on a class that you don't need, that doesn't seem fun. Like, there's no problem with leaving. No one takes things personally in college. If you go to a club twice and you're like, all right, nah, no one takes it personal. Like, just follow your gut and follow what seems fun, and it'll lead to really cool stuff.
That is some great advice. Thank you for spending your time with us today.